It's Thursday, November 17th, 2011. I'm Rim, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, Emily and I talk about our trip to Japan.
Let's do this.
I guess we're back to kind of our normal schedule.
No, it's bullshit because next week is going to be Thanksgiving.
Shit.
And then there's going to be some...
Wait, Monday, Wednesday, we can do it.
I'm just saying, there's going to be some mad holidays. And...
we'll manage. Unless I get sent to Turkey.
Right.
Then there's going to be no Geek Nights for a while.
Well, and then, right, so I'm off work from Christmas through MagFest.
Oh, yeah. So
Not going to work until after MagFest. Once
So, Scott, what are you going to do in that time?
Shit talk. Perhaps some of it will actually be shit, but most of it talk.
Yeah.
Read a lot of comic books, play some the Zelda game I'll have by then. Got a Gundam model to build,
So much, we'll save it.
Maybe I'll write a line of code or something.
I'm waiting for Tuesday to talk about Burning Apocalypse Con, but it was pretty fun.
It was okay. It was good.
It was only okay?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like PAX, but no one was saying it was. It was a completely different thing.
I was in
from
some pretty good
PAX.
games, but the people who played in my game...
I was in an excellent game.
Oh, the game that I got bumped out of that I wanted to be in.
Oh, it was the best. You should have joined.
Spending the Horde?
Yeah.
I did join, and I got bumped by someone who may have looked like you.
It was me. It was my number one priority.
Meanwhile, in the first slot, I actually had second priority, but a table of people lied to me and said I had fourth. And because I didn't have the schedule on me, I didn't check. I trusted
actually
them.
Printed the schedule beforehand. I went before going. I printed my own copy, and I wrote on it my priorities for each slot, and I put check marks next to the games that look good.
You know why I didn't do that? Because the entire night before, I was writing the game I was running and burning characters for it.
Oh, free market. You require no writing.
But it was worth it because one of the players in my game said it was the best game they played all weekend.
It probably was one of the better games.
Yeah, and I was very happy that I turned a ton of people away from that game. The priorities went way up, way quick.
Mm-hmm.
The secret was I stole the entire game from Hyperion and the Prince of Nothing.
Steal from the Forgotten Masters.
I start the game. I'm like,
is told by Hyperion.
I start the game before it's starting, there's small talk, and I'm like, so have any of you ever read R. Scott Backer's Prince of Nothing series? And none of them had. I was like, Jenny, you know who R. Scott Backer is? None of them did. I was like, all right. And have you ever read Dan Simmons' Hyperion? None of them had. And I was like, all right.
Has anyone heard of it?
Actually, I don't know. I didn't ask that.
Okay. All right. That's it.
One more important thing. Because I was reminded of because of the Prince of Nothing, Kellis Nair thing, but we played some board games last night. We played Puerto Rico, first time in a long time.
Yep.
Scott knows better. You should know better. Yet somehow I tricked him with my simplest and dumbest trick of acting all petulant. Basically,
so that we would both call Apple when you were ahead.
Yep. So I was doing pretty well. But
the only reason I went along with it is because Richard got the second 10 building, which convinced me.
But I knew it wouldn't be enough to push him over the edge.
And the only difference between me and you was that I didn't have the late game doubloons to buy that one building. It was pretty much the one building between the two of us. I was actually ahead on the chips, which is why I cooperated, because I said, I'm ahead on the chips.
Scott,
so I'm going to stay ahead if we keep captaining.
You thought you were? You actually weren't. You forgot that I had two unopposed captains early on.
Only the customs house is what put you over. If I had the customs house, you would have lost.
Yeah, but I had the customs house.
No shit.
Fact,
but you didn't have the customs house when I started cooperating.
In fact, Scott,
and I was pretty sure I was going to get the customs house when I started cooperating.
Remember when we were talking about the big buildings, right? And I was like, that's the building. Like, I started suggesting to someone that, an X building, and you interrupted and said, that's the building Rim needs, buy it. When in fact, that was not the building I wanted or needed.
It was at the time it was, but not
No,
for
it
the
wasn't,
end
because
game.
at the time,
I wasn't going to tell, and the other thing was, I didn't want to tell them to buy the customs house, because that's the one I wanted.
But Scott, I had more chips than you through the entire game.
No, I had more victory chips.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I had 37 points from those.
At
the end of the game.
The chips?
Yes.
The victory point chips, I had 50-something.
At the end of the game.
Yeah, they were almost the entirety of my
But when you were
points.
going for that building, I had more.
Anyway.
But hint for anyone who ever plays a game with me, if I suddenly start acting kind of pissy and antisocial,
do not cooperate with Rim under any circumstance.
If I'm like, oh, I can't win, god damn it, because Chase bought a building that I really wanted, and I used that opportunity to just sit there and be like, fuck, I lost. And for whatever reason, Scott believed it.
I believed it only because Richard had 210 buildings, and I believed I was going to get the customs house. Once you got the customs house, I started to worry, but it was already over.
I was worried that Emily, who was sitting in the room, was going to be like, hey, Rim's doing fine. No,
I started to worry when the governor moved twice, and I hadn't acquired in a single doubloon. That's when I started to worry, because I said, oh, I'm not going to be able to buy it. Fuck.
Yep.
And then it was over, and it was too late. But before those 2 rounds passed, I was still feeling pretty good.
I remembered how much I fucking love that game, though.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
It's the best game. All right.
So you got some news?
I do. So, the Torchlight, the Diablo clone.
Yeah.
Did you actually play that?
No, but I know about it.
All right. Well, it's a Diablo clone. I pretty much played it and then beat it and then it was done. And
it looks way more fun than the new Diablo.
Yeah. So I looked at PAX West. I saw Torchlight 2 and I talked to the guys. And those guys, well, it's still at its core a game where you click and click and click and click and click and eventually win. And that's it.
Attack, potion. Attack, potion, attack.
Town portal.
Yep.
That's it. There's nothing to it. Mindless clicking on the monsters, looking at flashy colors. That's it. But every other aspect of this game, these guys are getting right. I talked to them. They're going to have a flat price, play forever. No DLCs and other stupid bullshit. That's unfair, right? No paying to get better characters or anything, right? Awesome co-ops that will actually work, unlike, say, Magicka, right? Basically everything awesome. They got everything right except for the fact that it's a game where all you do is click. Torchlight 2, however, sadly, is going to be delayed. Officially been delayed from this year until some point
Scott,
in the near future.
I want to take you back to a time in the distant past when we were waiting for a game called Tribes 2 to come out and it got delayed.
Yep.
Nothing will ever compare to that feeling.
I'm going to call it right now. This will not become the next Duke Nukem Forever because what I saw at PAX was so close to done. I think that they're just...
will not become the next game that comes out and people can buy?
After 10 years. But yeah, actually, the guy, this is the funny part of this, right? It's like, okay, a game was delayed. What's the big deal? Here's the big deal. The guy who announced, from the company who announced the delay, he said, quote, "Besides, you're all playing Skyrim right now anyway, aren't you? Or Battlefield 3, or Uncharted 3, or Saints Row 3,
or Deus
or
Ex.
Arkham City, or Skyward Sword, or Minecraft, or Modern Warfare 3, or Dark Souls, or Assassin's Creed Revelations." All right? And he's like, and so Joystick was like, "You're right, no rush. It'll take us this time next year to make our way through everything you just mentioned."
In some non-gaming news, I just want to bring this up very briefly because it's kind of an open-y sort of meta thing, but Occupy Wall Street is all up in my business. They're like outside my building every day.
You should come and move up to where I'm working,
Yeah,
where it's just as bad because every day of every year that I ever go to work, there's tourists up in my business.
Today was literally a constant stream of police sirens and yelling outside my building.
How high up are you?
16 stories.
And you still heard it?
Yeah.
Heard.
I can,
Heard is not
Scott,
a word.
From the 16th floor, I can hear individual people talking on the ground floor, like on the street.
I'm on the 7th floor, and I can only hear the following things from the street. The tour bus with the microphone, right, on the top, right? If a guy comes and starts busking with a sax or drumming or something like that, I can hear it. Or a siren of some sort. I cannot hear anything else.
In my old building, in the Lincoln building, one time I was staying at work late for something, and I heard a ruckus outside, so I opened the window, and I see a cabbie chasing a guy around his cab. So, and
That's awesome.
I could hear the whole argument, and it was really funny. And I just kind of held my phone videoing the thing in case, it turned into YouTube, and it didn't. They just ran around for a while.
That reminds me, I was walking down the street in Astoria some months ago, and there was like a cabbie was going to fight, and a yellow cab was going to fight with a non-yellow cab, and the two guys were out, and like one guy was getting ready to punch the other guy, and the other guy was like, "Respect yourself. What are you doing? Respect yourself."
That's a good thing to say.
Right? And then it was just sort of like... Thing
is, that's beautiful. That's, on one hand, admonishment coupled with incite. You're inciting the person, but yet at the same time, the thing you were inciting them about, they'll feel worse if they act out.
Yeah. It wasn't. I just kept walking. It wasn't that exciting.
Lately, I stop whenever I see stuff, except the OWS stuff, because it's happening so constantly that it's like, oh, look, a whole bunch of riot police marching in formation. Cool.
Right, cool. Nice shields. Can I borrow one?
Oh,
Dude, we should buy riot police
Scott.
gear on the internet and then show up and have two lines of real riot police and a line of fake riot police facing
because
them.
we keep talking about video games. So I played Counter-Strike 1.6 a few days ago.
I keep meaning to do it, but then I end up just clicking on source and playing for real.
It was fine. I was playing okay, and then I realized there's an item that I forgot about: the riot shield.
I thought that was like in and then out.
No, it wasn't out. It's just we started playing Source.
Oh, I forgot they added it.
Yeah, you know what? That thing is unfair fucking hacks broken. It is awesome.
How broken could it be?
I was an invincible god with that thing. If I was gonna basically,
But it doesn't stop bullets. It
yeah,
just,
it does.
How many bullets does it stop?
All of them.
What if someone shoots you in the back?
You back up into a corner, put it in front of yourself, and duck. If you have 3 people doing that in each bomb site,
The bomb site's pretty big.
yeah,
Did you have the bomb behind you in a corner next to a crate?
we were counter terrorists.
Oh. So can you shoot from around behind the shield?
You can put it to the side, and then it'll protect you halfway, and then you can shoot, but then you can be shot.
Ah. Interesting.
You'll play again, you'll see. It's fun.
Okay.
So things of the day. In the course of our game night, of course, all social gatherings at the Geek House, unless we specifically prevent it, turn into everybody show a YouTube video before we go to bed. So we were talking about adaptive, like, picture stuff, like adaptive scaling, you know, the stuff where you, like, take a picture and you make it wider and it figures out more scenario or more scenery to put, like, in between the edges dynamically.
Yep.
Stuff like that. And the discussion went to how, like, a lot of techno music uses what is effectively a compressor set up wrong to make, like, cool effects. So the debate
Well,
went,
it's like you have a tool with an intended purpose, but then you somehow use the tool in a way that it was not intended, right? Like a saw is meant to cut wood.
but it can also be an instrument.
Right, exactly. You know, and it's like you're not using the saw right, but I'm still making something cool. Bang, 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 bang,
Yep.
bang.
So I started positing, why doesn't someone do the same thing with video? Like set up, like what if you set up a codec like really wrong to do an interesting thing? And our friend Chase Gordon, who is an awesome listener and friend and member of our New York City Hangout crew now. You might remember him from such classics as the Old Rochester Whiskey.
Rim and Scott's Old Rochester Whiskey.
Immediately turned and
At
said,
particulatescomics.com.
there's a thing. Datamosh, young Jake, did a rap, did a song, and he has a music video associated with it, which is my thing of the day, which is him doing exactly what I suggested. And it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I dig this.
So
The lyrics are also funny. They're funny in the same way that, you know, like Fuck Shit Stack is.
Yep.
Like, it's so he's like, I'm so cool. Look at my shit. I'm doing this on purpose. Doing this on purpose.
So I found the best Tumblr.
Best Tumblr?
Magic cards with googly eyes. The guy takes Magic the Gathering cards. He figures out the exact best googly eyes to put on them in the exact right places. He even gets the black dots in the googly eyes in the best possible position on the Magic card.
Googly eyes are generally pretty useful.
And he just puts googly eyes on the Magic card and they become hilarious. My favorite is this one, the Vodalian Serpent.
That's pretty great.
That's right. There's also some clever ones where there's like a spider and it has a fuck ton of eyes, or a card that's like a whole bunch of creatures, so there's a whole bunch of eyes in all of them. Or here's one that's like a lumber knot. It's got 2 eyes in 2 weird ass places. I'm sure there's like some cyclopses around.
I just
here
noticed
too.
the back of the card. That's pretty good too.
Oh yeah, his background on the blog is a Magic card with 5 googly eyes where the 5 colored dots normally would be.
It's funny, every now and then I get this weird urge to play Magic, kind of like how I imagine ex-smokers occasionally get a weird urge to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I should play Magic, and then I remember how much I hate Magic.
We can just go to a gaming store and we can buy 2 starter decks for like almost nothing and just play whatever you
Starter
get.
decks suck now, though. We'd be
I
better
know,
off-
but that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, the ones we get at PAX for free are ass.
Those are
I'm
like
talking
baby's
about-
first Magic.
Right. We should get the ones, just 2 real ones from some set that's identical, and just whatever you
Why
get.
don't we just take all of our Magic cards that we own and play with those?
Because they are not equal.
Who gives a shit? Just do it.
We could do, well, you know what we could do is we could try that mode where there's like one giant deck or something like that. Right? Wasn't there a mode where there's a giant deck and there's 5 stacks of open face land?
A better way to play is the star mode that nobody plays anymore, where everyone plays a 1-color deck, one of each color, and you win if you beat the 2 people across from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good mode.
I'll be white.
You can be white.
I'll be white.
All right. So I don't know what happened, but we just keep having guests on Geek Nights.
Yes, and making your life
Because
more
we got no
difficult.
show ideas.
You know
So-
what? It is no longer difficult to have guests on the show because remember, the last time we used to have guests, I had that non-awesome sound card and I couldn't like multi-track
Well,
it.
now you got all those little tiny sound USB external guys.
Yeah.
No, I don't use those.
Oh, right. You got the FireWire interface.
Yeah, you know how many
Yes.
people we can have on Geek Nights with no trouble?
100
Eight.
peoples.
That
Gaga.
is not
Gaga.
bad.
And that's if I don't use my multiplexer, then we can go up to 20.
Mhm.
That's pretty
But
crazy.
at that point, I might have some hardware problems in terms of my
Do we have that
PC.
many inputs on the mixer?
No, I'd have to multiplex some of
yeah.
them.
Okay.
Yes.
So the reason I'm on the show today, instead of just sitting in the corner and laughing at those guys, is because
Those guys.
those guys, those
Which
those
guys
little
would those
guys.
be?
You're jaded to us a little bit because when Jared
The
was here,
bunnies, those guys.
it was
Yeah.
difficult to record
Those
because
little
Jared was
guys.
laughing so hard that like he couldn't even like look at the mic. Like he'd go away from the microphone and start laughing like hysterically, like oh my god.
It's funny because I guess I'm kind of a nerd to it now, but it's like when I see other people react to you, then it comes back to me how hilarious it actually is, you know?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, we figured it's Thursday, so everything is just kind of whatever topic we want to talk about. And I figured since it was Rim's first trip to Japan, it might be kind of cool to talk about that a little bit and have Scott ask questions. Like,
Oh, you don't
so-
want me to ask questions?
No, I said
Said
you.
we do want you to.
Oh, so how
want
many
to-
how many panty vending machines did you see?
Zero.
The whole panty vending machine thing is a myth. Her
How many
well, it's because they have them in porno stores.
cat girls
from
did
what
you
I've
see?
heard. Animated or
Animated like 20
like
or
a bunch
30.
because we went to Akiba. So like if you're in Akihabara, it's like there's a ton
How
of
many
cat girls
yakuza
in.
beat
There
you
was
up?
one really cute girl in Harajuku who had like cat fox kind of ears just on, but
Yeah.
otherwise she was dressed like fashionable Harajuku girl.
How many
Yeah.
yakuza beat you up?
20, but we
Did you
fought them
go?
off.
Did you go to the
No.
host club?
We
wanted
we
to.
did Emily's version of the host club. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we went
It's
to
like,
we went to a maid
no,
cafe.
No, not the maid cafe.
Oh,
My
the host
cafe.
club. That was a
Yeah.
pretty great place.
My favorite guy.
I got to hang out with Pump.
Pump, and
Pump
Princess,
is awesome.
and so I prefer them over bishi looking guys.
So yeah,
know.
if you guys couldn't tell, Emily and I went to Japan for a
Did
couple
you go
weeks.
to
and,
the Love Hotel?
there was no
I
time.
actually-
That sounds like yes.
no, we didn't. But I thought about it because there was this near where
Castle theme.
near where we were staying in Kyoto, there was this hotel, and it was obviously a love hotel. You can tell because of the facade. And
Yeah,
the
you look
way,
at these things, you're
way
like, wow.
people go in, and they always list, two prices. There's the rest, and then there's the stay, which is overnight.
Mm.
So rest is like a few hours, and so that's when you want to have a quickie or something. You go to the love hotel and pay like $30, and you can have a couple hours in a fantasy themed room. But this hotel was called Hotel Toyuwakede, which was like hotel, and then that happened.
That's the
it's
best
like
hotel I've ever seen.
Toyuwakede.
I got a
It's like-
picture of it.
It's like when somebody's telling a story. And it's kind of like you say that before you like, and that's how we got here, And
It's a
so
Seinfeld
Yada,
episode.
yada.
obviously
Exactly.
there was this big lead up to how these people ended up.
We should
in
make
the love
hotel
hotel.
yada yada.
So
So
when I thought that was pretty hilarious.
I guess if we kind of go chronologically, the first thing I have to say is that I have determined scientifically that jet lag is a motherfucking myth. There's no such
Oh
thing.
my
I was
God.
fine.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
was
never
so
really
ticked
have
up.
jet lag, and people always complain about it. But I like going
the whole
to
time
Seattle.
before the
I'm
trip,
just sort of
Emily's like, "You're gonna, jet lag. You're gonna
I-
experience it. It's gonna really mess you up. Like, you gotta be
Okay.
ready for this." I get to Japan and I'm just like, fine.
So when we were at PAX, right? Seattle is what, 3 hours different?
For
Three.
I think
daylight
it's
savings,
three.
It's three
It's
behind,
three.
yeah.
So when we flew over, it was like, I get tired a little early in the evening. So it's like it hits 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, guys, I gotta go to bed. And they're like, oh, you big wuss baby, come on, you play more games. I'm like, no, seriously, I'm tired, jet lag. And they're like, psh, whatever, jet lag. And Rim says, I don't have jet lag at all. I never get jet lag. And I'm like, well, wait until you have a major time shift. And so I was waiting to get my revenge because here we have an international flight, which is basically,
A
13
long
or
time.
14 hours, depending on whether it's daylight savings time.
Mhm.
And So I was like, your day will become night and you'll see the pain and then you will be sick and not want to eat anything. Because actually, I get less sleepy and more like I'm hungry at weird times and not hungry when I'm supposed to eat. Like I feel really sick to my stomach because my body is like, you're not supposed to be eating.
But no,
now.
we got
What's
to
your
Japan.
problem?"
I
You
think
know?
I'm starting to agree with Rim because, like, when I went to Israel, I didn't have any problems. And when I went to Seattle, I've never had any problems.
I think the
there's
key
a-
is the buildup. Like I basically stayed up before,
But so
and then
did
I slept on the plane, and that was my night's sleep. So I woke up in Japan at like 11 a.m. or something. I had a whole day, and then at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I went to bed,
Yeah.
and I was fine. I was just like on normal time. In fact, I
Some
slept better in
people handle it
Japan
better than
I've
others.
slept in like the last decade.
Do they have
Like,
special beds there or some shit?
Yeah, we
futons.
slept.
Do they have different kind of mattresses?
Yeah,
than-
futons.
Yeah, we
Oh, right.
slept. Most of the time, we slept on the floor actually, because most of the hotels we stayed at were traditional ryokan,
Uh,
and
So
so
it's
we
just like
had,
you get 3
uh,
mats and that's
yeah,
it?
it was like we had tatami mats, and then just pulled out the futons from the closet and slept on those. And
They were really nice rooms.
Do
Like,
they have
Yeah.
internet in those rooms?
no.
interestingly,
actually,
a few of them did, but I noticed because I didn't have a data plan. I was tracking like GPS coordinates and
my
walking around.
God.
There's basically pretty much zero free Wi-Fi anywhere in Japan.
There were a couple,
Well, because everyone has
but it
wicked
never
cell
worked
signal.
on
You
the
don't need
cell.
Wi-Fi's.
Yep.
Seriously?
No, there's a million locked Wi-Fi's and Wi-Fi's you can log into and pay money to get internet,
Mm.
but there's no
Yeah.
free ones.
There were a few, like the one in the shopping district in Kyoto.
Like Google or
So-
Yahoo or someone isn't providing?
Nah, not as far as
No,
there's
not
not that
really.
many.
Man, I tell you though, I hated my cell phone I rented. I rented from a US company and it was like this crappy Nokia phone that the screen would stay on, it would run out of battery in a few hours, and I hadn't realized how much I depend on a smartphone because there were so many times where we'd be walking around, I'd be like, Google Maps, oh, no Google Maps, you know.
I
Granted.
would have just paid whatever it cost to get a real phone.
That's I think I'm gonna do it next time. I'm
Or
gonna like
just
get it from
Make
AU
sure you
or
already
KDDI
have a world
or
phone.
something.
Like the next iPhone's gonna be a
Yeah.
world phone.
Yeah, I saw that there were actually a lot of the phones are
They just-
starting to use the global standard now.
Well, it's just they have both sets of radios.
Yeah.
which
I mean, it's
make-
like the old days. Like my old cell phone way back it could do analog and 2 different digital formats.
Right, it's just you get a fistful of radios in there, and then you could turn on only the ones you're using right now.
Yeah,
But interestingly, I did learn that a smartphone that has good GPS and a magnetic compass but does not have any data whatsoever is still
It's
really
invaluable.
goddamn
Well, you
useful.
could've brought an
helped
iPad
us
Touch
so
with you.
much.
You could have
But
brought
I
an
don't-
iPod Touch.
I didn't
What was
want
I
to
gonna
buy
connect
an
it to?
iPad. Yeah.
What do you mean?
What was I gonna?
The not free Wi-Fi's?
Yeah. But basically, I could use the cache Google Maps and the GPS stuff, and if I started a track, like when we're going somewhere, like we rented bikes in Nagoya for a day.
That was actually pretty good.
It was
Crappy
awesome.
bikes
You
or
know,
good
it was-
ones?
Clown bikes.
Well, no,
They were clown bikes.
actually, they were some of the better rental bikes because they were actual mountain bikes. The frame was okay for me, but quite small. For
It
Rim.
would look like I was riding a clown bike.
It
It was
wasn't-
tiny.
It wasn't as bad as the tourist bike rental.
No.
So,
Well, but they're
it-
meant for tiny Japanese people, right?
Yeah, but
That's
a lot
the
of the
problem.
Japanese people were riding frames that were way too small.
Yeah,
for them
here's
too.
here's the weird thing about bikes that I noticed. One,
Let's
two-thirds
talk
of the
about
people.
biking in
yes.
Japan.
So 2/3 of the people, like bikes are everywhere, but there's no such thing as biking on the left or right or on the street or the sidewalk. People just bike fucking everywhere.
And a
so
lot
the
of them-
sidewalks just have people careening inexpertly around, barely missing everybody, and like wobble.
They're on the sidewalk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's actually getting to be a problem. Like I was talking with Mr. Noda, and he was saying that there's starting to be laws looked into because there are so many pedestrian and bicycle accidents. Like
I
the
can
main
tell you why.
collision isn't
Nobody
car
knows
and
how to ride
bike.
their bike.
It isn't car and bike; it's pedestrian and bike.
Yep.
Is the main cause of
Yeah.
Because
injury.
the
Yep.
bikes go really, really slow and they wobble all over the place on the sidewalk.
And also, it's weird because, like in New York, it seems like the people who bike are either one delivery guys who have the really tough-looking BMX bikes. You know, they're like really chunky frames and stuff.
Or the like
But-
hipster style, like fixie whatever. that
Yeah,
is
but it's- it's-
popular and hip.
It's mostly like, what do they call
The
it?
Mama
in Japan?
Charlies?
Yeah, Mama Charlies.
Mhm.
And the Mama Charlies are like these single gear fixed gear bicycles.
I'll put it this way,
which,
Scott. Our
uh,
average New York walking speed is faster than the average
That's
biker.
a baloney.
Eh.
That's a lie. Because think of how far we got. Of course, we had mountain bikes, but
yeah, we were booking. I mean, any biker we came to, we just blew by.
it was actually funny because we were riding around.
Did people
Nagoya
yell at you like,
University.
hey, you kid?
No, actually, the one time we got called out to, we were riding around campus. We were at Nagoya University, and we were riding around campus, and this one group of kids was just like, yo, cool bikes, and they were yelling, kakui,
Cool,
and I was like,
small bikes.
I was like, they're rentals, and they're like, oh, they're still cool,
Yeah, almost no one had like
So,
mountain bikes, but
yeah.
the other there were bikers. There was a very tiny minority of
Yeah,
bikers.
what if you had actually cool bikes? Then, like,
Yeah.
There
Lance
were a
So
few
Scott,
people.
here's the deal: the majority of people are riding crap bikes. They don't really know how to ride them. They're going very slow and wobbly. They're on the sidewalk. A small minority are on bikes like ours, going wicked fast with the traffic in the street.
Yeah.
And they're like two completely separate classes
Did you
of.
see an Initial D action on the street?
I saw a lot of race cars.
All right. Any cars that like do not exist here? See any GTRs and such?
Actually,
Really?
yes. When we
Square
were,
cars.
hmm?
Like
Yeah.
really boxy square cars because it's hard to park. So a lot
And
of
they
the
were all
cars
tiny. Could you
are
fit
really
in them?
tall, but really like short. So they're like these cube shape kind of cars instead of the more aerodynamic aerofoil curves that we tend to see
But I
in
did
US
see
sedans.
2 GTRs parked in the Noda's neighborhood, and I saw another GTR when we were in Kyoto parked out in a fancy neighborhood.
Cool.
A lot of GTRs.
I didn't notice,
Alright.
but
Well, GTR, I noticed. It's one of those. It's one of the few cars that, other than the Miata, that I'm just kind of
If I saw it, I
obsessed with.
might have stolen it.
I noticed when they're pointed out to me, but I wasn't really paying attention.
Because they don't look. They're kind of nondescript compared to like a Lamborghini.
Well,
Yeah, right.
Sure. But so yeah, riding bikes was actually one of those ideas where it was Rim's idea. He said, "Let's rent bikes when we get to Nagoya," because we hadn't really done a lot of exercise. We walked around a lot, but we hadn't like run or.
I was getting like
Yeah, we
antsy.
were getting a little stir crazy, and so. Because Rim doesn't really speak much of the language, a lot of the trip planning kind of falls on me. And so I was like, okay, so if we're going to rent bikes, I have to arrange the renting of the bikes. So we stopped for an hour at a net cafe.
Oh my god!
And Rim,
Whoa, well, they had internet.
I
Yeah,
thought
but
Rim
one,
was
no
going to
wireless.
I thought he was going to love the net cafe.
Talk
'cause
about
it's
a
just
den
like,
of iniquity.
No, it's like this huge library of manga. Like there are shelves and shelves of manga and free drinks and these little box cubicles
And
where you
more
can
cigarette
use the
smoke
internet.
than I've been exposed to in the rest of my life
He
combined.
Yeah.
was so unhappy.
I was getting
because-
like nauseous. I
I
couldn't
wouldn't have
even
gone
see.
in. Like I would have gone out immediately.
Yeah.
It's funny because people like smoking is okay in Japan for the most part. Like people smoke
Yeah.
all over the place, but
But you saw in Nagoya they have anti-smoking signs in certain areas.
oh yeah. But what I was going to get to is that it didn't. I was surprised. Actually, I think the smoking rates are way less than they were not that long ago. Because in all the upper scale places, they're really like no one was smoking, and like the nicer ryokans, like you weren't allowed to smoke in the room, and you're not allowed to smoke on the street. Really, you have to smoke in like smoking areas on the street.
No, that's good.
Yeah. No smoking while walking. There's
only
a lot
pla-
of laws
so
about that.
Occasionally, like if we're at a cheaper, like less great restaurant, there'd be like someone smoking, which really sucked. But whatever. The nice restaurants, no one was smoking. But whenever we went into a game center, everybody's smoking.
Especially in the pachinko area.
Oh my
like
god!
you go over to
For
like
every
the
one
initial
game
D
center,
machine
there's
and
like
stuff.
40
it's not that
pachinko
bad.
parlors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like pachinko's everywhere, and it's really loud.
And the game centers usually have pachinko in them. Like there'll be like, 1/3 video game machines and 2/3 pachinko and pachi slot and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
the crane games are off the hook. There's like food in
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
Food?
Yeah.
And anime
Is it still
figures
good?
like
The food?
oh yeah, it's like ice cream. It's like a refrigerated crane game where you can grab ice
This
cream.
gave me a
bars.
dystopian vision of the future where the homeless are given tokens and there are food crane games in the street.
That's really sick.
Yeah, but
Write
I,
a book
I,
about it.
I could see it. I could
But
see it happening.
they have all sorts of stuff. Like, there's the traditional stuffed animals, but there's also like anime figures and like it's kind of like in Wildwood they'll have the machines where you can like get a PSP and stuff from the crane game and
But arcades in Japan, like I knew they were awesome, but actually being in one, they are awesome.
but they're not as good as they used to be.
But they're full of smoke.
like it's the
So
same.
here's the thing: they were full of smoke, but all the smokers were either in the fighting game area, which is kind of separate,
Mm.
or in the pachinko like crap area.
Mm-hmm.
So where all the good games were that weren't fighting games, there's really no smoke.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's smoking and playing DDR, right?
Nah.
No, it's
Yeah.
not gonna
We
work.
did find a DDR machine. It was like
Yeah, it was
Only
awesome.
one?
it was like 16th mix or something crazy. And it was all
What?
like
Yeah.
it was all like Daft Punk songs. And
What we did Gorillas, we did Feel Good Inc., and we did what
Let
else?
me see how many DDR
Scott,
was
they
pretty
just, like
good.
the foot system is completely different now.
Yeah.
I was like, this song is 16 feet. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up.
So we were like exhausted.
But
But
also, we
went
played
to-
Tanks, and Initial D, not 4, not 5,
We played Mario Kart
but
too.
6. Initial D6 with a full-size steering wheel, and Mario Kart 2, which was actually really awesome.
Yeah, that was really fun. We went to game centers a couple of times, like in Tokyo, and then we went in Kyoto and Gion before we went back to the hotel. But I think my favorite thing was watching you play the Gundam Pod.
Oh my God, the Gundam Pod is a
games are
4-on-4.
really cool.
It's like you sit in a. It's like the old MechWarrior BattleTech kind of things that were in the U.S. that then disappeared, but way more advanced. And it's like $1 to play too. And the game's like forever, and it's just 4-on-4 people. And there's voice chat and radio channels, so you can like chat with each other or like flip the broadcast and like chat with the enemy team. And the controls were like, it looked like I was inside of a Gundam. I had all the controls of a Gundam and a million buttons and switches.
How do all these arcades afford those pods?
Because there's tournaments in these things like every day, as far as I can tell.
And think, if you get people in there constantly,
There's like
always
leagues.
a steady stream of people. Those
Even
machines
when people
pay
are at
for
school
themselves,
and
you know?
at night.
Well, Scott,
and-
like imagine this. Imagine you and me. Imagine if there was an arcade that had good computers and there was just a Counter-Strike league, like the bowling league, and we just like go there every other
every week, yeah,
and play Counter-Strike.
It
Sure
was
thing.
funny. I saw a thing where it was a soccer game, but it had like
winning
you-
11.
Yeah, but it was like they had enough
One station for every player
for
on the
every
team.
player on the team, so you'd actually be in the room and play soccer virtually with the people around you, which kind of sounds funny to somebody who actually likes to play soccer in real life, because it's like, why not just go play soccer? But the fact is, you have like these World Cup kind of matches virtually with all your friends sitting in the same room.
So the newest DDR that came
So-
out in November of 2011, November 16th, so yesterday,
Yep.
is Dance Dance Revolution X3 Verse Second Mix.
Okay, X2 is what we were playing.
Yeah.
That was the set.
X2.
That came out in July.
Yep.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
pretty nifty.
So note on Pirate Bay, no one's even pirating that shit.
So sad. DDR is really fun. It's a good way to keep fit in the winter. I've awakened to its charms.
So we went to like we started in Tokyo, and then we went to Nagoya, and then we went to
Yeah.
Hakone, and then Kyoto.
No, we went Hakone before.
Oh yeah, and then yeah.
Because we went Tokyo.
So you didn't.
and then went to Odawara and took the little train over to Hakone, and then we went. One thing I must recommend, and if you're gonna be in Japan for like a week or something or 2 weeks, is maybe, and you're gonna be traveling around a lot and seeing a lot of different places, look into the rail pass, because it might.
Yeah, it was like a
actually-
Galaxy Express style, like just you show it to people, they're like, oh, just step right through.
it's-
Unlimited everything.
Any kind of train, doesn't
well,
matter what train.
any JR train. So all
Any
the
JR,
Tokyo like
any-
stuff and the Shinkansen, but not the Nozomi line.
and the buses, so you can go on highway buses run
so
by
you can
JR.
just take the bullet trains all you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did.
Just
Except
any one of them,
except
just
the
whee!
Nozomi.
Yeah, there's
right?
the Nozomi, the Kodama, and the Hikari.
So
Yep.
what is the difference?
The Nozomi is like
Uh,
the crazy express, as far as I can
it's,
tell.
Where does
it's
it
the
go?
Super Express.
Like
Everywhere.
all the way to
It goes-
everywhere.
Yeah,
all the
I
way to
believe-
Japan, yes.
Yeah.
No,
all- from the top to the bottom?
I believe it runs between. It's the Tokaido Sen, so I think it runs between Tokyo and Kyoto. If I'm not mistaken, it might run further south,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a couple different Shinkansen lines, all kind of branching from Tokyo.
So our
So-
trains, we have no excuse. The Shinkansen was ridiculously fast. It's cheaper than Amtrak tickets. Like,
Well, people
way
are probably
cheaper.
using it constantly every day,
Yeah,
right? It's
it's-
full. All
It
the
runs all the
time.
time. And you know what? To put it in perspective, if we had Shinkansen in America, which one too, the rail gauge is narrower than our gauge, which is I think a big key to how it works.
Well, it's because our main thing is I read a whole thing about how our rails, because they also have to be used for freight, and because they also right, so that's why they're
Yep,
wider.
but the Shinkansen takes less right of way. It's faster. On the outside, it's quieter than Amtrak trains,
Yep.
despite being fast. And if we had Shinkansen here, with many stops, it would be about the same commuting from Albany to Manhattan every day than we had commuting from Beacon to Manhattan.
Yeah,
Albany to Manhattan, you could commute,
we
and
were
it wouldn't be
going-
that bad.
We were going what, like 250,
Yeah.
something
It's
like
like half
that.
as fast as a plane.
The average
Yeah.
speed,
so you can get to
including-
Florida in 2 or 3 hours.
The average speed, including many stops along the way, was like 140 miles an hour, which included, all the time it was stops with
because
people getting on and off.
flying to Florida is like an hour and a half ish, right? So
Well,
you-
that might be a little much, but like you figure Japan is like California, and they used to run this commercial about how you could get anywhere, and I believe it might have just been the main island, but anywhere in the main island of Honshu in 3 hours. Because I remember, Ich, ni, san, jikan. And it was like anywhere on the island, 3 hours.
Did you go to the other island?
No.
Nope.
That's,
We were
that's
down
kind
in
of a
the
So
hike.
south.
you didn't go to the island that was in Azumanga with the animals on it?
No,
No.
that's in Okinawa. That's like going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, but like if I was going to go to Okinawa, I'd plan a trip specifically.
Scott, that's like
for
going
that.
to TiVo and be like, "Oh, you were in New York. Did you go see Mount Rushmore?"
Or like you were in New York. Did you go see Hawaiian Islands? You know, it's like.
No, but it's the same
it's-
country, right? So you
But
entered.
it's not though. The well,
You don't
it
need to use
is
your passport to
politically-
get-
It is
yeah.
politically, but culturally and linguistically, it's very similar to the U.S.'s relationship with Hawaiian Islands.
Mhm.
You know, it was a distinct culture, which was then taken into the Japanese country. Like, I forget exactly when. It was like a few hundred
Yeah,
years.
but I
ago,
figure if like a high
think.
school can go on a day trip there, then so can a tourist, right? No, whatever.
They didn't go on a day trip.
I thought they did.
They go on the school trip, kind of like how I went to Hokkaido. on
the school trip isn't just one day.
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
School trip is usually you take it's like might be 4 days to a week usually.
Mm.
You know, it's like an actual vacation.
Oh.
So it's but anyway, I'd like to go to Okinawa someday.
Yeah.
I haven't really explored that far afield. But in any case,
Now, one trouble with the rail pass is that most of the subways in the cities are private. Like
Yeah.
New York used to be, which really
It's-
sucks. And half the buses, like, there's traps. They'll give you at a bus stop,
Oh,
and like
in Kyoto,
a normal
it got
bus will
me.
come, which takes like the normal pass. But then, like, a private bus that follows the same route will just show up, and if you get on it, you're fucked, and you gotta pay.
they're in Kyoto because we bought like it's $3 to get all you can ride city bus pass for a day in Kyoto. And actually most of the cities have that. Like in Nagoya, we pay $7 on the private subway in Nagoya and you can just ride around all you want. But in Kyoto, we pay the $3 for the pass and apparently there is city bus and Kyoto bus. And so if you see it said
Those
Kyoto
fuckers.
city bus and just Kyoto bus. And it
It's
was
a
just
trick.
like, oh no, because we got on the one going to Gion, and then I was like, notice the sign that was like, you cannot use your pass. And then the conductor said that. And the funny thing is, there are Japanese tourists who were confused the same way. So it wasn't just us being dumb Americans. Like one old lady
It
was
is an
just like, can I
intentional
use my
trap.
day pass? And he was like, no day passes. This is the private bus. And it was like, dang it. Why? You know, it was a bit
It's
frustrating.
BS.
It's that kind
Private
of.
subways.
You would get trademarked in the U.S. for doing that, right? It's like we have like these laws, and that's the kind of thing they're meant to stop. And we're like, but we get mad when the laws are too strong. But in other places where they don't have the laws, you're like, oh yeah, we were solving a problem
Though
that existed.
cabs in New York or in Japan, at least in Tokyo, were really funny.
How much money they cost?
They were actually really cheap, and you're not allowed to tip them. Like, you don't tip.
Not
Yeah.
allowed to.
Well, like,
Well,
why
I
would like it's
asked.
crazy? It's like it's weird if you tip them.
I know that in most Japan businesses, like restaurants, you never tip.
Which is great.
You
I'm
know,
so
it's
like
very
sick of tipping.
easy.
Was there sales tax
Yeah,
but it was
it's 5%.
So here's the deal: sales tax is 5%,
on everything?
Not on everything.
and prices on everything are in multiples of 5 or 10. And as a result, you pretty much almost never get like 1 yen coins or any crap like that. Like they round things to reasonable amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you go
Though-
to any like electronic stores or anything?
We went to
Big,
Akihabara.
big camera. We went to big camera.
We did. It's pretty.
And
It's
Yodobashi
pretty
camera.
nice.
Did they have all kinds of stuff that you can't get here?
Nah.
Not really. I mean,
I thought they have like all kinds of small things that you can't buy here, like laptops we can't get.
Not
Yeah.
anymore. The boutique laptop market is really kind of dried up.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you could see the cell phones, like the fancy Japanese cell phones.
But I mean,
and
are
you
they
could
really
see-
are any of them better than like our smartphones
No.
now? I think we've
No.
caught up pretty much.
I mean, the smartphone thing. It's interesting because
I mean,
the,
except you can watch TV on their phones.
Well, the traditional Japanese cell phone are still very popular, but smartphones like iPhone is super big. Like it's a very, very coveted cell phone.
Why don't everyone just
You
go get
know,
one? It's not that much
a
money.
lot of people do, you know, but it's very expensive. So a lot of people.
Yeah,
still
everything's-
stick
Did
with
did it
the-
cost more than it costs here?
Yes.
Yes.
How much is an iPhone in Japan?
I don't remember.
There's the trouble too. The exchange rate was pretty much as far against us as it could have possibly
it hurt,
been.
Man. I used to remember when it
means-
was like 1 penny to 1 yen about.
Like
and it
one
was
night
very
in Kyoto,
easy.
because no one takes credit cards really, so we were kind of low on money. Like we had like 7,000 yen left, which is that's like $70, give or take,
Mhm.
little less because of the exchange rate.
But we were in Gion near the river.
So
So-
basically, every place was too fancy, and we could not afford to eat
Well,
With $700?
we
with
could,
$70.
we-
Two people can't eat for 70
no,
bucks?
Where we
see,
were,
here's
we
the
couldn't.
thing.
Oh.
Here's the thing. It was like the Park Avenue. It was the fancy place where all
Oh.
like you go to the fancy
You couldn't go to
restaurant.
Yeah, we had to
The
walk.
people
bodega?
We
serve
walked way
you
back
and-
to our ryokan, and there was a little cheaper place
or the
nearby.
We went to
convenience store.
izakaya. No, we only ate. We didn't eat konbini bento very much or anything like that.
I basically ate my way across Japan, eating the best goddamn food.
That was
Ah.
mostly thanks to our family.
Oh,
Like my
the
host
Nodas are
parents.
awesome people.
Oh, I love the Nodas. They're the nicest family. When you see them, just the extended family. It was actually cool because it was Hirotake. He's like my 5-year-old nephew, and
He was playing Pokemon
Yeah.
on his DS. I was playing Advance Wars on my DS.
Was
Emily
it-
had her Pokemon.
Shota,
Was it new
Shota's the one who
Pokemon that we
really
don't
into
have or
Pokemon.
something?
All of them were like all the kids were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, he has a DS." When I, had
was
it out,
so sad though because I really wanted to trade
A
Pokemon
US
with
DS?
Shota, but I had Platinum with me and I couldn't figure out how to do it. And he's like, "I can show you," and then he's like, "Oh my god, it's all in English. What am I gonna do?" You know. But it was really cool because since it was the birthday, everybody came over to grandparents' house. And so I got to see my host sister and host brother, and who are married and living in their own houses, and I got to see all the
Not to each other,
kids. No, duh. But when I was living there, Kaori Nei-san was still single and living at home, but she recently got married and she has 2 kids. They're both very cute.
but Mr. Noda, that they took us out to
Oh,
his
best
favorite
food.
sushi place. That was the best sushi I've ever had in my
Oh
life.
my
I've never
God,
had anything.
Well,
that
that's
Seriously.
because where the fish are. If you lived where the
Yes.
fish are, it would taste good. But
And of
we
course,
don't.
It was all super
You don't.
good.
Unless you, Rim, you want to eat some East River sushi? I'll cook it up for you. It'd be great.
We had raw shrimp.
Raw
and I
shrimp
would
and raw
never
shellfish.
eat raw shrimp in the U.S. I would be too scared.
Where would you even get a raw shrimp in the U.S. that
was
maybe
icky.
like Louisiana you can get some.
Yeah, but I'd be too worried about parasites. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
this
not
was
after
like
the
an
Gulf spill.
exception.
I'm not gonna eat it down
Yeah.
there, but I
But
would
raw
have. I would have a
shrimp-
few years ago.
Raw shrimp is a food entirely distinct from cooked shrimp. It is what I ate that day
Oh my bee.
is probably between the shellfish and the shrimp the most delicious.
Are you sure they
thing.
weren't cheating? Were they perhaps injecting it secretly?
No,
so you
it's-
think it
it's
was
sweet.
raw, but really it was just butter
No.
shaped like shrimp?
It's literally sweet shrimp, and they're eaten
Did
raw.
they feed the were they shrimps that
No.
were like that were living in a tank, or they would dump sugar in the
No.
tank for the shrimps to eat?
That's silly. No.
So
That would work.
it was weird though because it was like gray, it was uncooked. It was I cannot express to you how delicious that was.
Yeah, it was really
You
good.
should make Shumai out of
And
it.
then-
And of course, Mr. Noda basically kept giving me sake. So
Yeah.
as a result, the
As soon as
first
he's like,
Which
does,
kind?
does your
Warm-
boyfriend like a Japanese?
But like which brand? So that when we
alcohol?
play
I don't even know.
Yakuza, we know what to, we know
I
what
don't
to
even.
buy.
All I know is he was like just rim like sake, and I'm like I really like sake, and then he was like really happy
sake,
about
sake,
this.
sake, and he kept filling Rim's glass, and I mean, they both drank a lot of sake, and I drank some sake, but like, man, it was
The end
funny.
result of this-
Did he get, like the
Pouring.
gigantic bottle that
Yes.
was so tall?
Yes,
That, yeah.
that was very. So as a result, the first 4 nights in Japan, I drank heavily.
You drink booze
Every night.
all the time.
So
Maybe
by
this
the-
is where the jet lag went.
By the 5th day, like I was like my legs, like I felt like I should not drink for a few days. Like my liver runneth over.
kind of hungover, but
Well,
Not
you'll fit
hungover.
right in.
Not hungover at all, actually. Just my body. I felt like my body might be at a limit where if I push it any further, something bad might happen.
I was temperate.
Well, because
I,
we
I
met
had
your
a little bit.
we met your sensei too. We're in Tokyo,
Oh, that was fun.
that first night, and we stayed out all night drinking and hanging
No,
out.
we didn't. Actually, we retired fairly early.
Yeah, but
I
we
mean,
drank a lot.
'cause- Yeah, we had like a few drinks, but we went to a really nice pub, and then we had
Well, he kept ordering drinks, and I was like, all right, sure, more room
Yeah.
issue for me.
that was fun though. It was nice to see my Japanese teacher who I'd only seen over Skype, and so it was like we actually met in person. It was like
We met at
hey.
Hachiko, and then we went out, and
Yeah,
he was
in
really
Shibuya.
Sachiko?
cool. Hachiko.
No, Hachiko is that
I
giant
know,
statue.
I know.
What's Sachiko?
It's from Nana.
Oh, from Nana. Okay. but yeah, we went to this really cool restaurant the Nodas treated us, and
Oh
they
my
took
God.
Cowdy.
The best way I can
and,
describe this
Shota out,
restaurant.
too.
Scott, remember the first episode of Giant Robo when the two guys eat at like that ultra fancy restaurant where they have like their private area like out in the lake?
No,
Really? You
Aw.
don't remember at all?
no.
You're-
If I
Okay,
saw it, I might.
So we ate at a restaurant that was just like that.
Okay.
Well, it's like a Japanese garden, but it's got all these little buildings, like all these little houses, and
you pick a house and you eat in it, and your table's
yeah,
in there.
it's like you're taken to a private room and you sit on the floor, and
There's like wilderness and koi outside, and
we should make a restaurant like that on a
stream
roof of a
coming
building.
down,
and the servers come to the door in the traditional way, like they open the door and they're like sitting in front of the door, and then they bring the food in, and it was Teva. I learned what Teva meant from KO Century Beast because that
Yeah.
was what that was the bird's name.
and you had
see any
some
big
in
robots?
Yes, actually.
Is that Gundam still in one piece?
We have a picture. We have a
Great
picture.
Messenger is pointing, and I'm also pointing.
Really?
Yeah.
There's
we have-
also I'm also posing
Oh,
with
isn't there like
Tetsuro and Mattel.
isn't there a Gigantor somewhere?
We didn't see Gigantor, but we did see Messenger at the Kyoto
Did you go to
Eigamura.
the?
That place was
Did you go to
awesome.
the train station as a Phoenix in it?
We did actually, but the Phoenix was down on the first floor and we had our luggage. So I just basically told, I was like, "Okay, Rim, there's an Osamu Tezuka thing way down on the first floor. We could go see it, but our train's in like 15 minutes." And so we were kind of like, you can see pictures of it.
I saw
online
pictures of
and
it online.
stuff.
But where the
That's how come I
messenger and
knew it was
everything
there.
was, we went to this. It was like an amusement park, but basically it was sets
Did they
from
have?
old
Did they have like the
Japanese
Power?
movies.
Did they have the Power Rangers show at the amusement park?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They had. It was so like all the stuff you'd expect.
Did you
was
Krauser
there.
it?
No. Well, actually, it costs extra to get into the Power Ranger stuff in the haunted house.
The
so
best part was the sets. Like now, if I watch old like Japanese samurai movies, like these sets were all
only
used
specific
in some of those.
ones.
Yeah,
Only Kyoto Studios. It was like Toei.
but they made a lot of movies.
Toho. I always mix
Like
those
there's
two
this
up.
one bridge, and there's all this like the text was like, "This bridge is in every goddamn movie."
Yeah.
we only built one bridge because it's hard to make bridges.
And they
Yes,
changed like
Nihonbashi.
basically the sign was like we changed the signs and like a little bit of the landscaping around it, and it's a different bridge. And they always set the scene by changing the name of the town on the sign on the bridge.
Yeah. And
But the best part of all of that was there was a building that had the set for ninjas, and all it was it was a part that looked like the rafters above a room, and then right under that was the part that looked like the rafters under the floor in a room.
so anytime they had to shoot a scene of a ninja, like being above the eaves and listening in, or being below the floor and listening in, they just had that one room in the building that they'd shoot
The
those
ninja room.
scenes. Yeah. So there were a bunch of things from different period dramas and jidaigeki, and so that was really cool.
There's a really cool exhibit in like the museum part of it too. It was like famous Japanese directors and a collection of their personal effects that were kind of like relevant to
Yeah.
their
I love that because actually, even though I'm very
like a pair of binoculars and a teacup and a canteen
Yeah.
and a beret or whatever.
even though I'm like really into film, I
There's
feel
probably
like
just
I've
all
got a lot
berets.
to
They probably got a whole
learn
beret
about
section.
Japanese film directors.
There were a lot
and
of
stuff like
berets.
that.
There's
History
probably like
of
1,000.
Japanese
It's
cinema.
like here's everyone's beret.
It was
And here's their backup berets.
it was cool because it was like from the 1920s and stuff onward.
So
It was,
pre-war.
like really really early stuff. It was pretty neat. But speaking of museums, how'd you like the Ghibli Museum?
yeah, the Ghibli Museum is like wickedly awesome.
Well, isn't
It
that why
was
people
really
like fight to
cool.
get tickets or whatever? You know, it's
It
like
was
you-
way crowded,
they
but
don't just-
basically it's like it looks like Ghibli movies, like the whole thing. Like there's the Lapta robot like on the roof kind of looking
And
out.
there's a garden, like a wildly growing garden on the roof.
And there's all these weird little like
Cubby
hidey holes. Like
holes
there's
and
like you're
nooks
walking.
and
You
there's
couldn't
like
fit in them though,
crannies
could
and-
you?
Yeah, you could. We
Yeah.
did.
Even
There's
though
like a little-
even though you're big,
Like you go in and there's a little spiral staircase. It's like really tiny. You can like squeeze into it. It goes up like 3 stories.
but it's meant for Japanese people.
Yeah, but it's
meant for
cool.
kids.
It's meant for kids. It's the perfect
How do you fit on it?
layout for kids because it's
we crouched in and just kind of wedged our way up, and then we got to a little tunnel, and it took us across, and then we're like up in another part of the museum.
like it's like a museum where actually being in the building itself is fun. Like if you were a little kid, it's a very adventureful building. You know, you're like popping out of doorways and being like, "Oh, there it is," and just going around through like you have to crouch down to get into some doorways, and it's really neat. It's very very good design.
They also show-
architecture-wise.
The fire marshal probably wouldn't let it exist in the
Oh,
US.
so I'll say this. any U.S. fire marshal, if you ever go to Japan,
He'll have
you
a
will have a heart
conniption.
attack. Like, we were on a bus, right?
Aneurysm.
A bus to go back from the fancy restaurant, and the bus had little things on the seats. Like, there was an aisle up the middle and sets of 2 seats on either side, like a normal bus to take people somewhere. And there was these things, and I couldn't figure out what they are, and I look at them, and I realize they were pads. You could flip them up and put them across the aisle to make a 5th seat, blocking the aisle. All the way up the bus.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that everywhere in Japan. Like they did, and I feel like it's probably not any more dangerous to be like that in Japan because
People are tiny.
No, because people seem more polite, and I feel like if there was an announcement like evacuate the theater, people would just walk out calmly.
People are in general pretty good about that. I mean, you look at the footage from after the earthquake, and people, I think it's like they have a good sense of other people, of society. And so they're like paying attention and not causing trouble or budging in line or anything like that. It's like, okay, this is what we have to do. We'll be very orderly about it. And
Not
get
like
it
here,
done.
if there's a fire, everybody's going to be George Costanza.
You know, oh boy, yeah. But anyway, we got to see like one of the short films that they run only in the museum. There was one about catching a whale.
The whale was totally troll
And
face
it
the whole
had
time.
The troll face whale.
The whale's
It's
like,
funny.
Like, it had a big all eyeball, and it was sort of like,
Yeah, if he'd roll it up like,
Yeah, I know the style. I know they've done that in a lot of Ghibli movies.
Yeah,
where
it was
they'll
very
do
cute.
the eyeball roll.
It was.
Oh, so the one of the neatest things in the museum is they had this like room of animation, and they had like zoetropes and all the different like old anime. They had a 3D
physical
zoetrope,
zoetrope with models.
And
then a strobe.
So-
So it's spinning. You're like, what's this? And the strobe light comes on, and it's a 3-dimensional like stop motion animation just happening in front of you.
Yeah, it looks like a ton of dolls just dancing, and it's got like little Totoros jumping up and down, and girls jumping rope and stuff like that. Oh, it was so cool. But actually, my favorite room was the how animation is made room, where it's
you
like
already know that room.
no, but it's like a fictional animation studio
It
for
was
like
to
a dream.
It was to animation what The Matrix is to hacking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, it was very sweet and old fashioned from a bygone era.
But a little
and it
cynical.
had the big wooden desks and stuff like that.
Like on the desk, it shows like an animator station. There's like paper everywhere and like drawings and notes and reference models and books strewn everywhere, and then a pot full of an infinite number of cigarette butts.
Yeah, and a lot of the signs were more truthful. It wasn't like animation is perfect and wonderful job forever.
One of them in
It was
English
like,
said something like,
"It's
"This part is
so
really tedious."
difficult." Yeah. And I just really liked reading about it, and I could have spent a lot more time in there, but it was pretty crowded.
Did you go to the Tezuka Museum?
We didn't get time. Actually,
They have
there was
every-
like also the International Manga Museum in Kyoto, which we also missed out on. But it was like
I'm
when
sure,
you
well,
only
it's like
have-
you can't even come to New York and see all the museums.
Yeah,
in
and
2
we went to,
weeks.
you
And
know,
it's just
multiple-
one city, not a whole country.
We went to
so-
multiple major cities. I mean, we were in Nagoya. We went to the university. Now there, I wanted to see some jazz. You know where we went? Blue Note.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
the Blue Note has a sister Blue Note, the only other one in Nagoya, because Nagoya is a huge jazz scene.
Yeah. Well,
And a
imagine
lot of-
imagine if New York, Chicago, and LA were in the same state.
Yeah,
You know,
but
it's like,
but the thing is, in New York, a lot of the jazz musicians that play around here are from Nagoya.
come from Nagoya. Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and they have kind of almost like a musician exchange, with the Blue Notes.
And the coolest thing was there was no smoking in the Blue Note.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
But I went, I actually, because Wim was like, he really wanted to see a show. And so at first we were like, maybe we can go see Takarazuka.
You can't see the.
And it was like totally sold out. And it was really
totally
going to be a
sold out
pain
forever.
to try to do. But when we went to Nagoya, Wim was like, how about some jazz club? And so I went, we were at Oasis 21, this big park in the city that
It's
has like
amazing.
a mall. And I went to the JTB office in the mall, and I was like, I'm here, on recommendations of the U.S. branch of JTB. I was wondering if you could give me any information about jazz clubs in Nagoya. And the lady was super helpful. She was like, oh yeah, the Blue Note is just a few blocks that way. I'm like, that's funny, because the Blue Note's the one we go to in New York. And so that was a really good performance, and it was kind of laid back, which was nice. It was, at least for me, the trip was kind of intense. Like, I'm so used to living in Japan where I do cool stuff, but it was like spread out, and most of it was just like routine daily life.
I was filled with illimitable, indomitable energy, but I think
Yeah.
it was partly because
You didn't have to do anything or talk.
there's also nothing to drink except tea.
That's true.
So I
You
was.
didn't
there's
get like
water.
all the
There's-
weird
you can get
things
water.
like coffee to can that heats
Oh,
itself
I did.
up.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
did.
I got all that stuff.
Okay.
But I basically was drinking caffeinated beverages all the time, constantly while I was awake.
And then you drink booze, and then you
And then
drink
at night I drink
caffeine,
alcohol.
And you drink booze.
you can't. They don't have just like water.
Oh,
They
yeah,
do,
they
but
do.
like if you go to a restaurant, but usually
Or
they don't just bring
soda.
water. They give you tea, and as far as I can tell, pretty much everyone just orders a beer. Like
Mhm.
beer is
Well, because we ate a lot of the times when we were by ourselves, we'd eat at like izakaya, which is like the neighborhood pub.
Yep.
You know.
Oh well, you're gonna get beer
So,
there.
Yeah, it's very
But
typical
also, like,
to
at the
get a
Nodas,
pint
like,
at
at,
those
like,
kind of places.
Beer with dinner is just kind of a much more typical thing, and I really, really understand now why Japan seems so big on very light beers.
Yeah.
Guinness doesn't go well with Japanese food, but like a Kirin or something really goes well with like a kitsune udon.
Yeah, they're not drinking, the manly beers.
I had 2 kitsune udon, Scott, and let me tell you, they're pretty good.
Yeah,
It was
They were pretty damn
yummy.
good.
I haven't had one in a while.
But anyway, let's see what other cool stuff did we do. I know we don't want to go on too long or anything, but so
Well, we went to onsen in Hakone,
onsen, that was fun.
and we saw Mount Fuji from the
How
Shinkansen.
hot was it? Was it like?
It was normal. We didn't go in the one.
Is it hotter in the bathtub?
It wasn't a Rotenboro with an actual natural hot
Oh,
spring,
it
but
was
the
fake
water.
fire?
No, the water was hot.
Okay.
Spring, so they pumped up the water from an underground aquifer, and I'm assuming probably mixed it with tap water, but you could tell it was hot spring water because of all the mineral deposits around
They
the
could have just
faucet
dumped
and stuff
minerals
like-
in them.
The thing is, they
I
pumped
kinda
it out
doubt
of the
it.
mountain, and actually I have pictures from the cable car through the mountains.
The volcano. We went on a ropeway over a volcano.
But while we were there too, we went on. There's like this touristy pirate boat that takes you through the lake in Hakone. And it
Like
was-
our pirates?
yeah,
Yes.
but it's silly. Like there's a
It's-
silly statue of Nelson, and there's a pirate statue on it. These like
He's pointing a pistol, and everybody always points, poses like he's shooting them or something like that.
But the funny thing is, we were standing up in like the crow's nest area, like the little like observation deck thing they had for people to stand on,
Yep.
and the pirate's like hanging off the ledge up there, and his butt's just there. I didn't really think much of it. Every little kid who walked up, looked at the butt, went straight for it, and like shoved a sword into it, poked at it,
Or
started
hit
hitting it,
smacked him on the butt.
put their face on it. There's
Yeah.
just something
It's a
about that butt.
It's
I got
a
a really
butt.
good picture
The
of it.
kids love that pirate's butt. They come over and they'd be like, "It's a butt." And
This
they'd
is
hit
why
it.
it's easy for people to be child predators. You show them butt, and
No,
they come.
that's
It attracts
horrible.
them.
Scott, it's easy to
No.
become a comedian. Just show someone a butt.
That's right.
Because the adults weren't like, stop it. They were like,
it's easy to be a pirate. Just show them your butt.
Well, it was funny because the kids just like they were so single-minded about it. As soon as they saw the pirate, it wasn't like, "Hey, it's a pirate," and then they were like looking at the pirate. It was just like, "Hey, it's a butt," you know.
Butt.
And, so we did all the Hakone sightseeing stuff, but yeah, onsen was really, really nice. And apparently in the new Eva movies, there's like scenes in Hakone or something, because in the New Type magazine there was this whole thing about like, oh, this part of Hakone was in this scene and stuff like that. And they also were selling as souvenirs Kaji's watermelon manju.
That was pretty cute.
So I thought that was funny. But there was also like a Little Prince museum, like the book for the book club. And so that was kind of odd. It was like,
Did you go in it?
no, we wanted to, but we ran out of time. And it was like, why is it in Hakone? That's like such a random place to have a...
Maybe there's a reason
have a
it's there.
thing for
Did
a
you look it
French
up on the
author.
Googles?
I looked around. I couldn't really find
Yeah.
any like explanation.
But anyway, so that was nice. And we
The
relaxed in
TBS, the Museum of the
bath.
Little Prince in Hakone.
Yeah, we relaxed in the bath, and it was really nice. And
It's in English.
Now in Nagoya, we went to first in Tokyo, we went to a maid cafe
yeah, I was kind of
Why?
well
to see.
because to see, and we were in Akihabara, and I was like, maybe we should go to a maid cafe, or
Yeah,
maybe
this
we
was
should
Emily's
just go
idea,
look
not
at
mine.
the-
Emily was like, we could go to a maid cafe.
I'd look in the window. I would never
There's
even actually.
no window. That's the thing.
Ah.
It's just like, usually they're on the second or third
Oh,
story
this
or
museum,
something
this Little
like
Prince
that.
Museum is actually pretty big.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks pretty cool. But so we were like, well, maybe we'll try it out and see what it's like. And this girl in a maid outfit accosted us in the street. It was like, "Would you like to go to a maid cafe?" And we were like, "Okay, let's go and see." And so we went up to the second floor, and you're greeted by like this wave of sound and pink things.
They
You
were
know?
so high energy. I could not believe.
Were
I
they
could not
faking
do
it?
that job.
Were you like,
Totally faking it, but faking it with the grace of a professional.
But were you like, did you like, okay, guys, are you for serious? Really?
You can't. You just have to go with
You
it.
just
There is
go with
no
it.
way
It's
but to
just
go
like,
with it.
It's just like the energy level.
Every
I
time
get
food
tired
came out,
watching
they
them.
made everyone do a moi moi beam to power it with love before people could eat it.
I'd be like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Well-
you think you in a maid cafe could not resist doing the crap because otherwise they bother you.
No, because what I would do is I'd be like, really? Are you guys serious? Like, come on, act like you do it normally when you're outside and not at work.
Actually, they were pretty cool though. Like they do come over and they talk to you, but it's like there were a lot of foreigners who go there. And like when we were there, this German tourists were there too. And their Japanese friend was showing them that. And
There was also an obvious regular who was kind of
like
sitting
the
in the
guy
corner.
who just went in the corner was like, "Oh."
He wasn't even looking at the maid,
maids."
he's like sitting in the corner, just like eating his overpriced food.
But there was this one maid, and she was
What
really
kind of food
cute.
do they even have?
Like omelets and stuff. We got parfait, and I got the bunny parfait, and Rim got the kuma parfait.
I got the kuma, the bear.
The bear parfait, and they put like little biscuits in it to look like ears, and they put a little nose on it, and it's very cute. And then
Okay,
they
in the back,
"Moi,
there's
moi,
probably some chef who's like the
beam."
grumpiest guy.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Also, they serve beer
And they sing
and cocktails.
and they dance, and they do.
Yeah, remember
and they
the stuff
talk,
that was
like,
going on at the
super
maid cafe
cute.
in the New York Comic Con?
yeah.
No.
I was asking Scott, you weren't there.
Yeah.
It was that times 10 and it never stopped.
And they do that every day. It's an everyday job, and there's people in there every day.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many of these maid cafes are there?
Many.
How
many,
There's
many.
contention among them, like fighting over customers.
That's fucked
Yeah.
up.
And this place had you could level up if you go there often enough. You have to go there like 100 times to level up.
And what do you get if you level up?
I don't even know.
More maid attention?
I guess.
I don't know. But it's not creepy or anything. It's just like a restaurant, like a theme restaurant.
It's just like the ninja restaurant.
But it's
Yeah.
it's a restaurant of like super energetic, kawaii, like talking in a fake cute way. But the funny
I just really
thing
want to
is,
know what those maids think when they're not at work. Are they,
They're they're
Scott, what do you
probably
think when
like,
you're not
it's
at
a-
work?
I knew a girl.
But at work, I'm the same personality
Hey
as
Scott,
I am.
at Anime Club, right? There was a girl who worked in a cosplay cafe, which is very similar, except that instead of acting like a uber cute maid, you act like the character you're cosplaying.
Mhm.
So she would come and she'd be like, "Oh my god, there are some really stupid customers." But then she genuinely liked her job because she was into anime and she liked cosplaying and stuff like that. So, I mean, it probably comes with some annoyingness, but it also comes with, hey, this is kind of fun, you know?
Mm.
So guess what our maid's name was?
I don't know.
Rim-chan.
Yup.
Is that a coincidence? Or
Yes,
what?
her name was Rim. And like we came in, I said they'd write your name on a little thing. They say, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Emily," and this is Rim. And they're like, "Rim."
And they call the other cute,
Rim-chan."
and she was cute too. And
She
they call her
comes,
over, and
yeah,
she's like all
talking.
cute. And
Yeah, so it's fun. But my favorite was my cafe.
so in Nagoya, we went to a cafe.
We went to a cafe. That's my instead of no host cafes for me things. I
The-
want
the-
a
the,
bunny cafe.
It was basically you get food, and there's a whole bunch of really cute, really like affectionate bunnies, and you just hang out with the bunnies
Yeah.
and pet them.
Food area was separate, but
yeah, you
it's
don't want
like,
bunny hair in all the food.
Yeah, you go into this little back playroom, and there are like 5 or 6 bunnies out running around. They have
Oh,
like
okay.
20.
So it's not like bunnies everywhere.
Well, there's 25, I think, regular bunnies, or maybe more like
But they
20.
rotate them.
But they rotate them because they can't all be out at the same time. So they give them rests and stuff like that. So
They're the most like people-loving rabbits. Like Pump, who's like the boss rabbit as far as I can
was
tell.
so cute.
He'd run over and be like, "Hello, pet me. I'm gonna run over here now."
He'd like jump on Rim's lap and like flop out next to him.
He
and I
kept
mean,
jumping behind me and like trying to like grab my shirt and steal it.
Yeah, he'd pull stuff out of Rim's pockets and run away with it, and he was just very
That's
rambunctious.
where the ends
and
went.
he did little binky dances and stuff like that, and he was super soft too because he was a Rex rabbit, which have no guard hairs, so he felt like velvet. It was like this little velvet rabbit who was just like so rambunctious and adorable. So it was actually
Well, they
pretty
probably,
good.
if you're making a restaurant, you're going out and you're picking the cutest rabbits.
Yeah, but it looked like they had a few rabbits that were actually adopt this rabbit kind of rabbits. And, because one had a sign on their cage.
They weren't
like,
as cute as the
found
other
a-
ones.
Found a permanent home.
You
And I
guys can
thought
have
that was
these not so
cute.
cute ones.
I
we
know
need the other
that-
ones for the restaurant.
I know that Pump. I was talking to the lady, and she said, "Yeah, he's a popular guy. He's one of our most popular staff."
I was
staff
happy though,
members,
mostly that the
she
rabbits
said.
were like very happy and like enjoying it, and the place, like the people running it, really knew rabbits. And it was-
Yeah,
it was
I
Well,
really
mean-
that's what they
thing.
do every day.
The only negative thing was one rabbit had like a bit of a nose infection, but she was undergoing antibiotics, and she was gonna be fine. So
Now, the funny thing is, we also, before we went to the zoo with like the
Yes.
family with the Nodas,
yes.
and it was the day at the zoo, and it was actually a pretty good zoo. Like the monkeys were pretty good. One monkey
Through some
was
poop?
was real close to figuring out spears.
Really?
Like he
had
was
a
sitting there, he
stick.
had a stick, and he's like working it in this hole and looking at it and working it and looking at it, and he always carried it around with him.
Yeah, it was like his tool. He had the stick, and he was like messing with cracks.
One
and
little
trying to
baby
open
monkey came
cracks.
over and tried to grab it from him, and he was like, "Oh no, 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 no!" And he like hit the monkey, and then that monkey ran over to his mom and cried, and then it was.
It's not like watching
It's
the
monkeys.
monkeys.
But so there's a petting zoo in the Japanese zoo.
Oh, that was sad.
You know what the petting zoo is? A trough filled with guinea pigs that kids just like run in and grab them,
Okay.
pick them up, and run
feel
around with them and bang them
so-
into each other.
No, I feel so bad for those poor guinea pigs. But I mean, the staff were there and they were kind of supervising, but like the kids were so high energy and they did not know how to handle the guinea pigs. And it was just like, oh, piggies, poor guys,
Luckily, guinea pigs are
They're
pretty
probably
chill.
like,
They're
haha, I'm going to
pretty-
pee on this kid, watch.
They're pretty
Got 'em.
hardy, Luckily, they're a little bit more sturdy than rabbits, I think.
Like
but
imagine
still,
if we were
Oy
in
vey.
if we were in a big pen and it was the Giants petting zoo and the giant kids would come and play with us like that.
you would poop on them.
I'd just be like, "Hey Rim," and Rim would be like getting like swung around by some kid, and I'd be like, "Watch this," and like barf on him, like, "Yeah, look at that."
yeah.
Mm.
But anyway,
The giant kid would run away crying because he got a little barf on him.
It was a
Mm.
pretty good trip. So was there anything that stood out in your mind, like
The food
the food?
is so good.
The food is good.
Though the weird things that stood out were that nobody until we got to Kyoto, I did not see a single person other than Gaijin wearing sunglasses.
Was it sunny?
It was stupidly, ludicrously sunny and hot. It was basically unseasonably warm summer over there.
Like you couldn't even see?
Yeah. Meanwhile, I heard it snowed here.
It snowed once.
Yeah. But no, it was like so sunny, it was painful. Nobody had sunglasses on. Not a single goddamn person. I can't figure out if there's a thing about sunglasses or what.
Well, if you're being the Yakuza if you have sunglasses.
But then we got to Kyoto and people there were wearing sunglasses, just nowhere else,
People in Kyoto are the only smart people.
I guess. And for a society
Or
where,
they were all Yakuza.
for a society where no one takes credit cards, it amazes me how few ATMs there are.
Yeah.
There's basically almost no way to get money if you need money like right now. So you can pretty much assume that anyone walking around who's like going out to dinner or something, or like if someone's going to go buy an iPad, they've got cash, tons of it in their pocket.
Yeah.
to beat them up.
Yeah, I
Was
feel
there an
like
Apple store?
What?
I don't know. I didn't see one.
I think there is.
there is an Apple. Yes, there was actually. We went by it.
Just
And
beat up
in
anyone who's
Nagoya,
going in.
remember?
Oh,
We biked by
yeah.
the Apple store.
Anyone
I
who's
said,
going
we can
in,
go
kick
to
the shit out
Apple
of them. You're
store.
twice the size.
Actually, no, I wasn't. That's
They don't
another
have
interesting
guns.
thing.
They don't have guns, and you're twice the size.
Yeah, here's something interesting. People always say, "Oh, I go to Japan. Everyone's so short." You know what? They really weren't. The only people who were short were
the
the
old
people who were,
people.
like old people, like 40 and up. The kids were as tall as us, like the punk kids.
Almost. Actually, that's not quite true because I do remember being in high school and going to a girls' school, and I was one of the tallest in my grade. Like I was used
yeah,
to
and
being
you're only
average
average
height
height here.
but it's not like I was crazy giant tall.
Gaijin smash.
It was just like I was among the taller kids. There were a few girls who were taller
All I'm
than
saying,
me.
Michael
but I
Jordan
was
goes
always
over
in the
there,
back
and
of the
he's just
row.
like, "What are you doing down there, little people?"
Aw, no.
Michael Jordan's
not
here
really.
is like, "What are you doing down
Yeah.
there, little people?"
That's what I'm saying. So it's even worse. He'd be like, "Oh, I guess this is Lilliput. Did
Well,
this
But-
plane go to the wrong place?"
So independently, because I noticed that mostly on the subway. I was looking at how tall people were.
Buy my Hanes underwear.
Subways are perfectly clean, have padded seats.
That's the thing. Padded seats. Can you imagine padded seats on
Scott,
the New
padded
York
seats
subway?
in New York would basically be the hobo toilet paper.
Gross.
No kidding.
It would smell.
Well, there
so
are technically
bad.
padded seats on Metro North. Technically,
No, Scott,
Yeah.
these are
They-
like
there
they're
is an
plush.
amount of padding on them.
These are plush cloth seats.
Mm-hmm.
they were
Ugh.
surprisingly thick and comfortable.
And no
It
one
was-
stained them. No one even accidentally spilled coffee on them or anything.
No.
No, they have a few little stains, but not really.
Mm.
They're not smelly or anything, from what I can tell.
And in Hakone, we got on a little train, and we got on a car that was filled with nothing but schoolgirls.
Yeah, junior
Aw,
high school
shit.
students on a trip.
Why don't you just follow them wherever they're going? Oh, junior high, never mind.
And apparently, I look like Harry Potter.
Okay.
Yes, they're like, oh, Harry Potter. So that was funny. That was funny. They liked Rim's glasses and thought he looked like Harry Potter. But yeah, it was
He's a
definitely
white guy with
school trip.
glasses and brown hair. Harry Potter.
But and then they were also looking at the fat guy out the train window.
Oh
the
my
one
God!
fat
There were no
guy.
fat. There were no fat people in Japan.
You can't
And-
get fat.
And then
eating
at
that
one
kind of
point,
food.
we saw one guy out the window of the train, and he was like normal fat. Like he was like I see
No,
people.
he was like super schlubby, like obese.
Yeah, I see people like that every day.
He was wearing Hello Kitty sweatpants. It was so sad.
He looked like one of the people who shall not be named from RIT. Gray sweater, gray sweatpants, but the sweatpants had Hello Kitty on the butt.
Yeah.
All right.
And he's walking, and all the people on the train are like, "Oh my God!"
It's like
Look at that
everybody
man.
crowds over to the window like, oh my
Like
God,
the
that
RPG
fat
Jared
person.
played.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
man, I'd feel so bad if you guys went
But the
to,
fact that
to America.
someone that fat in America doesn't get a second glance.
Yeah.
Someone that fat in Japan, people are like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
It's like, how would you even get that fat? You have to like, I guess
Scott,
you can
if
go to
I lived-
KFC, right?
Scott, if I
Yeah.
lived there,
KFC.
I would.
Did they have the double down at the KFC?
I don't know. We went to a McDonald's though.
Yeah.
What did they have?
I had
I
the
got-
first McDonald's non-breakfast I have had in like a decade.
What did they have there?
I had Korean burger.
It's McDonald's food plus like they had one. It was like the KBQ. It was like Korean barbecue burger.
Was it good?
It was okay.
Okay.
How
It
much
didn't make me
was it?
sick.
Fast food.
I don't even a couple hundred yen. if
Yeah,
that.
it
But
was
they
like
had
a
also,
couple
you
of
could get a
bucks.
Big Mac and it was the same Big Mac you get here.
They actually have
Smaller.
a limited menu. They don't have as many items.
Mm-hmm.
But they did have Big Macs, and they were like our Big Macs, but smaller.
Did you get a Happy Meal?
Yep.
What was the toy in the Happy Meal?
Actually, we had to go and ask for the other toy because Shota already had all the Pokemon ones, and he wanted whatever the girl toy was
What's the
to
girl-
give to his sister. I don't remember.
like Pretty Cure or something, or Kitty
I
Grade? or-
don't remember what kitty grade. That's not for little kids.
I'm just, you know,
Oh, speaking of nerd stuff, like on TV, like
Idolmaster.
like on like with normal culture,
Piece.
we can
I
see what was
forget what
popular.
it was, but it was Pokemon and
But-
stuff. or-
In the nerd places, Madoka was the biggest thing.
Oh
Well, of
my God.
course, it's
there
the
was
newest,
so
biggest-
much Madoka.
The funniest thing was going to the Meiji Shrine and seeing.
Oh,
we-
I got
we
a picture of this.
We did a wishing picture. You know those wooden boards where you write your wish on and hang it on the shrine rack. And there was one that had Kyubey on it, and it was like 100 contracts. Let's go. That was like somebody's wish. at
There's
the
also
shrine.
one, a little kid scrawled in English. He's like, "I wish for happiness for my family and also for the apples."
Yeah, for all the apples. or
Oh,
for
we
the
also
apples.
we did the fortune telling thing.
And Rim is the luckiest guy.
I got like the ultra rare like cocoa bean
he
luck.
got what is it? Daikichi.
My fortune was like, you're gonna be rich and
Yeah.
famous, and everything's gonna be awesome. You're gonna live forever. Like,
Whereas mine said I'd die if I was short-tempered. If I was sick, the sickness would continue. But it was luck.
How-
but
where
it
do you
was
get the
barely
fortune
luck.
from? Where does it come from?
It comes from the shrine. You go into the shrine or temple, and then you go up to this little store that sells the lucky amulets and fortune telling. And you take a wooden canister and you go shuka 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 and dump it out. And whatever stick you get has a little number on it. And then they pick the number from all their papers.
Mhm.
And that's how you get your
Number sticks, huh?
Yeah, number sticks.
number sticks. I got the best number stick.
He got I can't believe it. I was just like, you're going to get Kyo, and he didn't get Kyo.
So I
which
never
is,
need
like,
to do it
super bad
again
luck.
because I know now.
Yeah, so.
And we saw, Scott, you'll be happy. We saw a lot of the old shit.
The
Yep.
old
A
shit is
lot
good.
of
A
it.
lot of temples. But actually, my thing is, I was kind of freaking out. Like, I had a really, really good time, and it was so good to be back in Japan. It'd been like over 5 years, so I was really starting. I really missed my my Japanese family, so it was really cool to see. Basically,
They're really cool people too.
Yeah, it's I think of them. They're like my relations. I consider them part of my family, and so it was good to see them. But it was also just good to be back. And my whole thing was I was a little stressed out because I was like, how do I convey to Rim what it's like to be in a place and show him all these different facets of this country I love so much? But actually, I think for a couple of weeks, we did a pretty good job. We saw a lot of traditional stuff, but we also saw a lot of modern stuff, and we went nerdy stuff, and we went normal stuff. And, it.
What's in the regular movie theater?
Oh, what's going on now? There was one about like my husband is depressed, and there was one about a police dog. It was like the canine officer or something.
Canine Bayside Shakedown. I'm see that.
But I kind of want to see it too, because if it's got like canine units in it, I'm like,
I was in Book Off the other day. They have all the Bayside Shakedown DVDs, but I don't think they have
kidding.
English on them.
You could always look and see.
They even had like the TV
Japanese,
box set and
like all the
everything.
Ghibli DVDs have English subtitles.
Yeah, but they had everything.
That's cool. But it was pretty good. And I didn't even make Rim go into too many bookstores.
Too many.
Yeah,
Why would
he
you even go to
doesn't like-
bookstores? We have Japanese bookstores here.
That's what I figured.
Why
So
would you go?
I,
Is their Japanese bookstore any different?
well, one, the books are a lot cheaper,
Oh,
so
that's
they
true,
don't have
yeah.
import.
Yeah, you
tax
go to
and
like the
stuff.
Muji store and the Uniqlo. That
Yeah,
were
we
just-
looked at them.
We did actually go in the Muji store because there's one right near
And it was way
Nagoya
cheap.
University.
They had a lot. They had like Muji
They
stuff
had
that we don't
food.
have here.
They
Like
had
they had a lot of
food
like
and
no
washing
brand food.
machines and stuff like washing machines and bicycles.
Oh, is it a good washing machine?
And it's okay.
Tiny.
It's well designed, simple, well engineered. Not a lot of bells and whistles, but they have like little Muji stuff like a microwave and stuff like
Oh, wow.
that.
I'd take that.
And the food is something we don't get here.
What's it? What kind of food do they have?
Well, like curry mix and dried fruit
oh, I could do
and
some dried fruit.
canned
Bunch of
goods like
juices and
canned
things.
pumpkin and
could use
stuff
that.
like that.
I'll take it.
It's really cool. But I love the Muji store because it's so relaxing. It's very calming.
But otherwise, it's like the same kind of design as the ones we have
Yeah,
here, where it's like all
yeah.
wooden and.
Actually, I was so thrilled because I liked Muji before they opened in the U.S. because that was after I graduated college that Muji started being a thing.
Now we have like
And
3
now we
or
have
4
like
of them.
4, actually 5 if you count the ones in like JFK.
Well, there's the ones that are like in the part of the
the
MoMA
MoMA,
stores.
yeah.
It's like because the MoMA store is like half Muji store.
But we have 3 big ones. We
Yeah.
have 3 in the
There's
city.
the New York. There's the downtown one, the Times Square one, and there's what's the other one?
Chelsea.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, it was nice. It was a good trip, and we saw cute bunnies, and we saw my family, and we saw all sorts of cool,
That was the first
interesting things.
Long vacation I've been on in a long time.
Yeah, I got to go on a long
That
vacation.
didn't involve a convention. That didn't involve me having to do anything.
I might
Yeah.
like quit, go on vacation, and come back, or I get a leave of absence.
It was really
unpaid.
surreal though to be back at work like the Monday after living in Japan
We
for
went
2
right
weeks.
back to work.
Like
the
we
night
got home,
after
went
we
to
came
bed,
back.
and I get to the office and I'm like back in my normal life, and it was just really weird. And I was like,
It's even weird just doing like a long convention and doing that.
this has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.